discovered and analyzed, interest in the puzzle itself has steadily increased. Finally, it may be possible to attribute some of the recent interest in the canon to certain trends and developments that have taken place in contemporary culture. In the current intellectual climate, many have become dismissive or even suspicious of organized religion and have become reluctant to accept core doctrines at the heart of the Christian faith, the reality of supernatural events, and even God's providence in human history. Instead of a diminished interest in the canon, however, it would seem that these perspectives have actually led to a greater curiosity in the events that may have prompted the canon's formation, at least in some circles. In light of modern culture's interest in historical mysteries and the increasingly distrustful attitude toward religious institutions and political institutions, it is certainly understandable why many have become intrigued by the possibility that the formation of the New Testament canon may have been the result of political wrangling, secretive meetings, and calculated maneuvers designed to shape Christianity in a particular way. The popularity of Dan Brown's novel The Da Vinci Code bears evidence of this. Understood from this perspective, the New Testament canon might be thought to be more reflective of the beliefs and practices of the Church of the 4th and 5th centuries than of the Church known to the Apostles and the first generation of Jesus' followers. Although the origin of the New Testament remains a subject of considerable interest among scholars and lay readers alike, I would suggest that there are a number of consequential subjects relating to the creation of the canon that have either been misunderstood or not fully explored. In fact, the more I discuss the subject of canon with students and lay people and engage in research of the subject, the more apparent it becomes to me that greater clarity and insight is needed with respect to our understanding of the process that led to the composition and formation of the canonical writings and the basis of their authoritative status. In light of this reality, I wrote this book in order to tell the story, so far as we are able, of the process that led to the canon's composition and formation, to address certain subjects related to the study of canon that have been largely overlooked or misunderstood, and finally, to reflect on the question of the canon's authority, a practical matter that is often a source of confusion among contemporary readers. My intention is for this volume to serve as an accessible guide to those with limited prior study of the background of the New Testament writings, while encouraging further dialogue in the scholarly community about specific subjects that have not been adequately explored or possibly even misunderstood. Although the topics addressed in this volume are wide-ranging, the objective here is not to offer a comprehensive introduction to the subject of canon. Several excellent introductions have been published in recent years, but to address specific subjects that relate to the composition, formation, or authority of the New Testament that have received only limited attention or have been misconstrued in some way. Our investigation will begin with an exploration of various subjects that relate to the composition of the writings, and will then transition to an assessment of the likely process that led to the creation of discrete canonical collections, a process that eventually led to the establishment and recognition of a single collection known today as the New Testament. We will thus consider the larger story of the creation of the canon, a story that includes the composition of the individual writings and ends with the widespread recognition of a particular collection of sacred works. It is my hope that the subjects addressed in this volume will offer listeners a more informed understanding of how a particular body of writings that were composed by multiple authors in different times, in different locations, and in response to different concerns may have been composed, how they ultimately came to be recognized as a single collection, and why these writings should be regarded as authoritative scripture today. Before setting out on this journey, it will be helpful to briefly outline how the volume is organized. Each chapter in the volume